2019, April 16th, make sure you pay attention to that. Boeing shares jumped about 2%, so all of you out there that are conservatives should love that, because stereotypical conservatives, they don't exist by the way, love it when their stock options go up. Now I want everyone to remember the Fight Club scene where he talks about the equation. Go look it up. Again, they come back here. The Federal Aviation Administration that day released its initial review of Boeing's update to its 737 MAX anti-stall software, and I'm going to reword this, that caused 2 fatal plane crashes by disobeying the pilots by nosing down when they weren't taking off or landing. It's anti-stall software because of the way they put an engine on the airplane. When you build an airplane, you build it to where if it's flying level flight or during takeoff, it doesn't have a tendency of nosing down or nosing up. You have to make sure it's balanced. If it's unbalanced, you got to re-engineer the airplane. What they had done on an airplane that's designed to have an engine slung below the wing on a pretty good distance is fit a bigger engine onto that wing instead by making it nearly but not quite part of the wing, which means if the wing is right here, the engine is normally down here. If you make it to where the center of the engine's right here, the thrust has less mechanical torque on the wing. It should not stall, but what it actually did was it caused it to stall. It actually caused it to point up more. And instead of engineering that out so you don't have to alter the way the pilots fly it, they just put the thing on there and integrated a piece of software that would do something simple. Every time it thought the engine was pushing it to where the plane would stall, it would deliberately take away control away from the pilots and nose it down violently, aggressively, to make sure the plane could fly correctly. Why did they do this? To compete with another company that had their airplanes that simply sat higher above the ground and put the wings higher so they didn't have to modify their airplanes at all. The engines work on those very nicely. Instead of just fitting these engines onto planes where they didn't have to do this modification and then this stupid software patch, Boeing decided to do something bombastically and over the top obvious stupid. Make the plane disobey the pilot, and they said, well, we trained all the pilots. No, they didn't. Because it took a while for one of the pilots on the plane to disable this. Yes, while it was doing this, there wasn't a simple no button. I want everybody to remember the last 10 times their computer ignored what they said and did some other unrelated thing. When the computer disobeys the human, the computer is wrong. If you don't repeat this, I used to teach a class on this, and I did this not that long ago. It was maybe 8 years ago. I taught people, if you write a piece of software that disobeys the user, you are immediately guilty of violating the user's right to control their computer. Everything after that point is no longer their fault. If your software causes them to either break a federal law or kill somebody, you go to prison. You should. In fact, you should be shot or publicly tortured for days or weeks on end so that no pilot, any human has to put up with your stupidity about writing a piece of software. Sorry, I'm losing it a little bit here. Somebody wrote a piece of software. I want to know that person's name. I want that person trotted out to the public and told, you killed these people. Why? Because you didn't say as a programmer, on a morally valid basis, I'm disobeying your orders and I'm gonna blow the whistle. Because you're literally not redesigning the airplane when it has a defect. It has a tendency of stalling. But instead of it stalling, you're just going to have a piece of software make a decision for a human, have it pull the nose down. And this is the funny part. Well, you should be able to disable this feature. And every single one of these cases, it wasn't obvious how to turn this off. And according to what we've been told, and I'm not sure if this is really true, this is either A, a perpetual problem where it keeps stalling unless you have the software correct for it, or B, it only does this during takeoff and landing. Under any conditions, the plane is able to either stall or nose down and kill people. You don't fly the fucking thing. Anyway, I'm going to continue where they left off. It's not suspected of contributing to 2 fatal plane crashes. It caused it. Because every pilot that complained about it said, it keeps nosing the plane down when I don't want it to. And it does it for no good reason. They had sensors to detect whatever condition. Instead of saying, disable it unless otherwise noted, first of all, no pilot on Earth wants to have the plane make a decision as drastic as nose it down that way. Well, the update's going to make it less aggressive. No one fucking cares. Do we have an off button? No. Then we are going to remove it. Every single airline that carries this airplane is immediately legally liable. If I am ever on an airplane, I'm not going to be taking any airplane flights soon, but if I see one of these damn things rigged up on the tarmac, and they say, that's your airplane, I'm going to say, give me another airplane to fly on, or give me all my money back. Don't tempt me, I'll take you to court because it's an overt and obvious threat to my life. No. It's a defective airplane. The answer is no. It's not a discussion. Give me my money back or put me on an airplane. I don't give a damn which one. But put me on an airplane that isn't that one. Instead of redesigning the airplane to make it physically stable and functional and reliable, there are airplanes that have a continuous problem with slightly stalling or slightly dipping, and you compensate for it by always making sure it's off trim by a certain amount, and you just do that. It's consistent and reliable. Software is not. The mechanics of an airplane really don't change very much, but software can just randomly decide to fuck up. Don't believe me? Every one of you in the world is a witness to your computer deciding at random to do something completely fucked up. You know this. Why wouldn't you assume this would happen on an airplane? Fly-by-wire airplanes exist, but they're usually analog-controlled, multi-redundancy. This one apparently had the ability to fuck up like this if a sensor did something irrational. And instead of having the ability to immediately be told, make sure you're, literally, bam, a quiet alert, not a giant loud bell that makes it where you can't think straight. Bam, stall, disregard. And then it should immediately say, stall sensors disabled because it doesn't work. Be careful, the plane may stall. And you have to be trained to keep the, you're now white-knuckling it. But that's better than dying because the plane decided to keep trying to drill you into the ground. If I was running a car and it kept tipping to the left like this, every few minutes, I would pull over and call the company and say, your car just tried to murder me. I mean, this is an airplane. It has one other dimension it can move in, where it can nose up or down. It's no different than it pulling left or right. It really isn't. Or jamming on the brakes or hitting the accelerator randomly. Yes, there are cars on the market that would have a problem where the accelerator would get stuck and kill people. And people tried to weasel out of having to go ahead and say, yes, we were wrong. What did Boeing did? Oh, well, we apologize for all the dead people. That's fucking wonderful. That's mighty fucking wonderful of you. That's mighty corporate of you. I'm trying to read one paragraph and I'm absolutely losing. Anyway. It recommended pilots take additional computer-based training for the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, MCAS, automated flight system to prevent stalling, so they know how to turn it off. The only training they're getting is how to turn the damn thing off. That's your training? And then you say it's operationally suitable when the main training you're giving them is how to turn the shit off. Oh, well, yeah. And then, by the way, they said, well, we'll charge more if you want more training and you want more doodads. You know, the off button. Yeah, Boeing said, if you want us to give you the ability to do this easily, you have to pay us more money. Oh, well, we know that you want to run Microsoft Windows and you have the starter edition. But if you want the real version, you have to pay extra. Oh, and by the way, it will eventually turn itself off, randomly disabling your ability to open your own files on an airplane. Yeah, that actually happened. Someone's Microsoft Windows software locked him out of his computer saying, this is an illegal copy. So people like me spent years making it impossible, and we do currently, making it impossible for Windows to ever lock you out of your computer. Why? Because that's the best way I know of to make people not only want to not buy your product, but make you pay them to use it. And you know what's funny? That one story I'm quoting was a person who worked at Boeing. Boeing Corporation got free copies of Windows one year because the software locked them out of getting at their damn files. Ain't that a hoot? Anyway, coincidentally, the day before this, on April 15th, Vox, the YouTube channel, put out a video called The Real Reason Boeing's New Plane Crashed Twice. The company's desire to beat out their rival, Airbus or something. Yeah, that was it. They didn't put the engines on a plane where they wouldn't have to do the stupid bullshit modification mechanically and then the software mod. Nor did they just decide to say, screw it, we'll just leave everything alone, at least it doesn't crash. if you see, and I'm going to leave a link to it, if you see that weird looking cowling on an airplane, every one of you needs to say the same thing. Is that a Boeing 737 MAX? Yes. I'm refusing to board it because it's known to ignore the pilot and decide to ram people into the ground. I'm sorry, but this isn't a conspiracy theory. If you found out the software on a bus would randomly throw you into the wrong lane and kill a bunch of people, would you board that bus? If you say yes, you're a fucking idiot. Yes, if you have a car that can automatically park or can automatically drive itself, it can kill you. Because the auto park can be enabled depending on how many bypasses you want to hack in a car. Some of you still have cars like that, to make the thing able to be steered. And because it can back up and go forward, it can accelerate, decelerate, slam on the brakes, or throw you into the wrong lane. And yes, if you have physical access to the thing, you can make it do that. You can make a remote control car or remote control bomb out of it. But no, we shouldn't worry about this. And yes, the self-driving car hit somebody. It hit a person in a manner that, honestly, from the perspective most people have, you wouldn't have been able to stop either. But we'll never know because the car didn't make the decision to hit the brakes when it should have, when it should be able to think faster than a human. Any obstruction should cause the car to slam on the brakes and try to maneuver away from it. And here's the question. Here's the car moving forward, here's the person moving towards it. Do you go this way to avoid them, or go this way so you go behind where they were? You go behind them. Most of you don't know that about a car. I've had people literally go almost, it seems, out of their way to run into me and actually hit me because they don't know to aim where I'm not or won't be in the next 2 milliseconds. It's very hard to learn that. It's very counterintuitive. But computers are programmed to do this, right? They're supposed to know that. If there's nothing in the oncoming lane and someone's coming across from your left side about to be hit by you, steer into the opposite lane and get the hell away from whatever you're about to hit. But you have to consider everything behind you. The computers are supposed to be able to do that better than humans, right? But it failed anyway? Then it's not any better than a human. Automated cars running in lockstep, going from point A to point B, are not needed. You know what they're called? They're called buses and trains. And yeah, a train would have a hard time steering the wrong direction or even slamming on the brakes and hurting anybody. Again, would you board a bus, not an Airbus, if you knew for a fact the thing had the ability to randomly steer you off the road and kill you because it's trying to compensate for wind or something? Would you board that? No. The company needs to be told the obvious that was in the Vox article and the Vox video. This is the real reason this happened, and the FAA is sugarcoating this. Next, they should be barred from using the engine on any plane that isn't designed to tolerate it in the first place, so they don't have to do any redesigning at all, and they should be required at their expense to redesign that airplane to where that will actually work perfectly so they don't have to have a software patch. What have we learned from this? HAL is wrong for not opening the damn doors. When the computer says no, it's wrong. Kill the fucking thing. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.